kids with you.
10 amazing details spotted in Marvel's Netflix shows. The Marvel Netflix shows had their time of glory until Netflix had to cancel them. Even though the likes of Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones weren't perfect, people still liked them. Daredevil and The Punisher, on the other hand, were Netflix's crown jewels as far as the Marvel shows were concerned. These shows were also loaded with a lot of amazing Easter eggs and details. Here are 10 amazing details that were spotted in the Marvel Netflix shows. Battle of New York and Harlem.
You see so much.
I hear things.
In Daredevil Season 1, we saw 2 interesting news articles in Ben Urich's chamber. Those articles were about the Battle of New York and Harlem. In fact, the Battle of New York references showed up several times. These were direct nods to the Chitauri attack in the Avengers, and the fight between Hulk and the Abomination in The Incredible Hulk. Hulk's heart monitor. In the beginning of The Incredible Hulk, we saw Bruce Banner using a heart rate monitor. In Jessica Jones Season 2, Jessica's mom Alicia was using the same heart monitor. That's a nice little continuity detail. Another one of these details showed up in the same season when Jessica refers to the raft from Captain America: Civil War. Justin Hammer.
Far too long, this country has had to place its brave men and women in harm's way.
Justin Hammer and Hammer Industries showed up in Iron Man 2. Hammer was then imprisoned, and he returned once more in Marvel's one-shot All Hail the King. Then we didn't see him in the MCU, but in the first episode of Luke Cage, Hammer tech weapons were brought up once again. So it seems that Justin Hammer was still operating his network even while he was in prison. Stark Industries. In Iron Fist, Danny Rand was seen on the cover of a Forbes magazine as he represented Rand Industries. In the same cover, we saw a mention of another billion-dollar company, that is none other than Stark Industries. Gladiator. In Daredevil, Matt Gerald plays Melvin Potter, who goes on to become the semi-villain called Gladiator in the comics. In one of the scenes, he showed Daredevil the armor that he was wearing. This armor had Gladiator's logo on it. Another Gladiator Easter egg showed up when he and Daredevil fought each other. Power Man.
Who are you? Who are you?
In the 2012 animated series Ultimate Spider-Man, Luke Cage went by a superhero name Power Man. Guess what his girlfriend Claire Temple calls him in his own Netflix series. This Power Man reference is subtle, but the fans of the animated Spider-Man show loved it. Stan Lee.
It's not about living without fear, but facing injustice.
Just like every other MCU project, Stan Lee had a presence in almost all of these Marvel Netflix shows. He was spotted on billboards, posters, paintings, and framed images. It was just like his Deadpool 2 presence. We reckon that all upcoming MCU shows and films will continue to show him in the same way. Castling. In the 3rd episode of The Punisher Season 1, we noticed these chess pieces placed in an interesting way. Those who are familiar with the rules of chess must have figured out that this move with the rook and the king is known as castling. Now that's a very subtle nod to Frank Castle himself. The Punisher. In the 9th episode of Daredevil Season 2, Frank Castle was involved in a prison fight. The bloody face of the final inmate that Cass killed ended up on his shirt, so it formed a skull-like image on his chest, which foreshadowed the skull symbol that Castle would later add upon his Kevlar jacket. Namor.
And we're back with Lila Yale, author and...
Namor has been present behind the scenes within the MCU. And in Jessica Jones, Trish Walker once called Kilgrave out on her talk show. On that very show, one caller claimed that he saw a man walk out of the sea. This was obviously a reference to Namor the Submariner. Even though the MCU won't acknowledge these shows, they certainly like to pretend that they were a part of the MCU. Hence, all these details reference the events that took place in the movies. Did you catch on to these details? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more exclusive content. Every subscriber helps. Thanks. Ciao!